Hello and welcome to All For United with me, John Foster, MUFC. Abby McManus to Tottenham is a breaking news this afternoon on loan for 6 months. That's going to be a topic that we'll be talking about in the show. Apart from that, Casey Stoney, back-to-back managers of the month. Leah Galton, is she the best left winger in the country right now? I certainly think so. It's Transfer Thursdays, it's a Birmingham preview, and we're joined by three fantastic people. Natalie, how you doing, mate?
You all right, John? Thanks. Well, good to be back. Transfer Thursdays.
Transfer Thursdays, and what a day to have
Yeah.
a Transfer Thursday show. Absolutely, yeah. Stuart, welcome back, mate.
Thanks for having me back. Leah didn't make too bad an impression the first time around, and I didn't ramble too much.
And Ben, how are you keeping, mate? You okay?
Yeah, it's good. Thanks for having me on. First time, so it's always good to talk to people. Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all, mate. No problem at all. Ben, obviously you're new to the show. Just explain to the viewers where people can find you and what you actually get up to on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, you do a hell of a lot.
Yeah, well, by trade, I'm a special needs teacher at school in Surrey. So we're still fully open and going in every day because special schools have to stay open. So yeah, we're all busy in that school. But about 18 months ago, I started my own women's football website called Impetus, which can be found at Impetus Football on Twitter and Instagram. And it kind of started off at a really cool sort of small base with a loyal readership. And so since October last year, with a certain article on a certain Australian player, it just suddenly boomed overnight, and it's now gone massive. We get about 40% of our readership from overseas, which is really unexpected. And it's allowed us to do some really good things. So we sponsor 3 different players at grassroots clubs, one of which is at Chorley, another at Wroxham, another at Sutton, which is co-done with Stu and the guys at Sin 71. And through some links I've got in Australia through family, we've got some really good relationships going on with Australian women's football, which ended up with me actually speaking to Tony Gustafsson at the weekend for an interview, which was phenomenal.
Yeah, you mentioned Australian there as well. Sam Kerr, obviously coming from that area of the world, and I know that you live very close to the King's Meadow. What are your thoughts on that transfer when she came across?
I mean, in some ways it was and wasn't expected. I think from what we heard, it's kind of been going on for quite a few months, almost a year behind the scenes. I mean, my family actually in Australia live about 20 minutes up the road from where she grew up. So I followed her playing for the Matildas since she was 15, and I've been a sort of massive fan of Australian football since then through her. And it was personally, it was kind of a dream come true to see her play so close to me. I think it's interesting how she's been used at Chelsea. It's very, very different from how she's played over the years for both Australia and for Perth Glory. And I think that's partly why people are, prone to get on her back a bit about lack of goals and things like that, because Emma Hayes is using her quite differently.
I mean, I just want to add, there was a lot of chances that she had. Do you think what do you think the reason that she's missing a lot of chances? Do you think it's confidence or, like you said, not playing in the right position?
I think it is confidence, but I think if you look back to how she played for the Matildas before sort of Lisa Devanna and Michelle Heyman sort of packed up, she didn't really score many goals for the Matildas then. She's only sort of been in the last two and a half years that she's been sort of scoring the goals. And most of the goals she scores for Australia and the goals she scored for Perth Glory, a lot of it is balls over the top that she uses her pace for. A lot of it is headers coming in from corners. And if you look at how she's playing with Chelsea, those, she's not getting the long balls in over the top. Chelsea don't play like that. She's not getting the headers in that are coming in from crosses. I think how she's working really well with Fran Kirby, certainly since Christmas. But yeah, I think confidence is a lot of it. And it certainly hasn't helped, the fact that she's been so far away from home in the middle of all this going on as well, which I think there's lots of factors. But you're absolutely right in that. She's not scoring the goals that a lot of people thought she'd get.
I think that's absolutely right. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what everyone's saying across Twitter as well, isn't it, and social media. Stuart, look, this is a Man United show, but Man United Chelsea title race is on. What was your thoughts on the game on the weekend?
I thought it was about par where everyone is. Manchester United are doing fantastically and well worth the top spot. I think I don't know. Was it? I don't know who said it, but I think it was absolutely bang on that Chelsea have had 9 years to get to this point, and Man United have had 3 years. So if you're looking at Casey's 5-year plan, they're ahead of the game at the minute. And while I can't see Chelsea dropping enough points for United to win the league now, who knows? If Man City can get their act together, if Arsenal can get their act together, who knows? Chelsea could well drop points. They're going to have the Champions League to contend with. So I think it was about on par. I think Man United were in the game. I think it was offside. Before this episode, I went and looked at the replay 4 or 5 times. You look at the markings on the ground. Yeah, it's offside. If you had VAR, it's going to be offside, definitely. If it was the other way around, Chelsea would have been offside. And I think it's about taking the chances at the right point in the game. Chelsea had a lot of chances in the first half, didn't take them. That was United's chance to really sucker punch. If United got the first goal, that's when you look at the whole momentum shift. But Chelsea scored at a good time, and they scored the second goal at a good time. When Man United had the momentum, had the belief, they quickly killed it. And after Kirby's goal, I'd never really felt like United were in it. There weren't really the players off the bench that were going to make that huge impact. I think it just knocked the stuffing out of United. It knocked the confidence out. And it'll be a good learning experience for them, because I don't think it would happen again in that same scenario. I think they'll have that belief to kind of push forward and say, we've done this, we've learned from this, we know we're better than this. We realised the regret we had when we left Kingsmeadow, not finishing the game as strongly as we could, and we're not going to let that happen again.
I agree. I think this is the game that will turn things for you now. You look back at this game, and I think long term, I know it is, as much as it hurts now, I think long term this would do you good, because this will be where you'll progress from. You learn from losing games like this, and I think long term this is going to stand you in good stead, I think.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I know we're going to go on to it, but what she said, the gaffer Casey, at the end, you've come on, Stu, before, and we've talked about her and the things what she said after. I've never heard her say something like that. And I know it sounds a bit strange, like what do you mean? But she said it's, that's not good enough. That's not what I expect. That's not the level of defending I expect. And, we've lost games before where poor defending, poor goalkeeping, but she's never come out and said it so blatant. And I think for me, that just showed how our levels have already risen, because like I said, there's games last year it was probably just a similar style of defending, and she didn't really say anything. But this year it's like, boom, this is not what I expect. And I think, we've seen Abby leave and there's talk of someone coming in, and I just think it's going to be massive changes, I think. And, for me, the mentality's already changed.
So you're hinting there that United need a new centre-back now to replace McManus. Who could that be?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that on the transfer section. Yeah. I agree with you guys. I do agree. That's pretty much where we are in the league right now, just under Chelsea, which is an amazing achievement in our second season in the WSL. The fact that I think we could all agree that at least this season we're showing that we're better than City, and we showed in the game against Arsenal how dominant we were. I think we were dominant against Arsenal. It almost looked comfortable at times. But yeah, Chelsea maybe is just a little bit too far at the moment, but that's just the opening half of the season. Who knows where the second half of the season will go.
Yeah, I think Arsenal are in trouble, if I'm honest. I think they're in big trouble. And that's part of the reason why I think that all United's hopes for winning the league are pinned on a Manchester City victory over Chelsea, because I can't see Arsenal doing it. I think Joe has probably reached a point where he's taken them as far as he can, and I think he'll see out the season. But I think that there'll be changes at Arsenal in the close season, and if they need to make changes in order to keep hold of Viv, then I think they'll definitely do it, and they'll need to do it. Especially when you've got a former Arsenal great who's just become available for coaching now in Jane Ludlow. But it's
Before
not an Arsenal podcast, so I should. That's the problem when you get someone that's a overall football fan and supports Portsmouth. I don't really have too much WSL to talk about, so I kind of love a bit of everyone.
Natalie, I want to talk about Casey Stoney, but before we do that, Jake Davis' comments, please just tell everyone in the comments what you tweeted out, or what the Barmy Army tweeted out a little earlier.
Yeah, so the Barmy Army are part of the FSA since 71 is part of the FSA, and now the Barmy Army are officially affiliate members. I think that's right, affiliate, yep. And that is the highest level of membership within the FSA. So if you look at most, if you look at other men's supporters, we are at that level now where democratically elected, have everything in place really, which is really good. And then Barmy Army tweeted out again later and said that I was voted on to the National Council. So that's up on the website, the FSA website. And yeah, just good news really for Man United fans.
Yeah, good on you. Good on you.
Good on you, Nat, absolutely, yeah. Okay, let's talk about Casey. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Back-to-back managers of the month, November, December. December, she was the only manager to have achieved 3 wins out of 3. I believe Chelsea, City and Spurs both won their 2 games, but that was only 2 out of 2, not 3 out of 3. I think Arsenal played 3 games, but they won 1, lost 1. So it just shows what you said earlier a couple of months ago, and that we can't ignore Casey anymore. In the past, you might have turned around and said, yeah, she's doing a good, but it was the Championship. Last season, yeah, she's doing a good job, but it was only 4th. Now she's doing a good job and it's title contenders. And for a large part of that last month, she was at the top as well. For me, thoroughly deserved. And Stuart, you kind of took the words out of my mouth where you mentioned Emma. Even if Emma wins the games in hand, I'll give her those 3 points because, in my opinion, even if she's 3 points ahead of Casey Stoney, in the grand scheme of things, what Casey's achieved in those 2.5 years, she's almost on par with what Emma's done in the last 8 or 9 years when it comes to this season. I'm not talking about the past, but I'm talking about this season. I think she's doing a fantastic job, and I can't wait to see what Casey's achieved when I look back when she's been here for 8 or 9 years. How far and what the similarities are there. Obviously, I'm a United fan. I'm passionate about Casey, of course. But it'll be interesting, Stuart and Ben, to hear kind of your thoughts on how far Casey can take this.
For me, it's the biggest achievement was the solid foundation from back when she created the team from nowhere. There were plenty of players that had just come from in and around from the Notts counties, were either at reserve team level or just not quite hitting the first team. But she's taken these players and turned them into internationals. Like you look at the 2 Turners, Kirsty Smith, Hanson, Galton was probably a little bit further than some of them. Ella Toon. These are all players that were good championship players when Manchester United women were launched. And they're not just good championship players now, because we all know that there is a disparity within that league when it comes to ability when you're looking at the top of the WSL. And those players have just come on leaps and bounds. And it's not through luck. It's through good scouting, good networking, and very good coaching.
We say, don't we, Natalie? Exactly that. It's not just about recruiting top quality players. It's a type of player. It's a personality she's recruiting. That, do you want to just touch on what your thoughts on back-to-back manager of the month? Like
I said, when she won the first one, you can't not give it to her. I mean, I was saying she should have won it 3 times in a row. The one before, I was saying she should have won October as well. But Carla Ward won, and everyone knows what I think of Carla Ward anyway. But I was like, why has she not won that? She's winning. She's unbeaten. She should have won it. And the fact that she did, and now she's won it again, which I didn't think that she would. I thought maybe Rihanna Skinner. She's done quite well, Tottenham. But I'm glad that Casey won it, because for me, like you say, let's see where we are in when in 9 years' time, it's going to be totally different for me. I think, like I touched and said, it's, for me, the mentality's already changed, and I think it's always constantly changing. She's always pushing to be the best, to be on top, and she's feeding that down into her players. You look at like what Stu said. We're looking for that core, I think, and I think she's built those foundations, and now we're building upon them. And you know, the house is already solid, is already stable. So you just add in like that cherry on top, I think. And you know, but people like Press and Heath, the way they spoke about her when they joined, I mean, can't get bigger accolades.
Can I just put it out there that I still think United would be in exactly the same position this season without Heath and Press.
Yeah,
that's not to downplay either of their ability. They're both fantastic. Heath has obviously made the impact too, but I still believe that the players that were there beforehand would have still had that impact, and had maybe someone like Hansen wouldn't have scored as many goals as Heath will, but those goals would have been shared around elsewhere. And obviously, people are forgetting a certain young, tall, blonde striker that's not around. So it's, for me, she's the bigger signing out of the three for long term. It's Russo. She's the one for the long term future of United, where she could, in theory, be there she could be there in 9 years' time. Where we all know that realistically, if United can get 3 seasons out of the Americans, that's a fantastic return. I'm confident now that they will stay for at least another year, but for me, it's Russo. I think she's the big signing, but I think United would be up there in the top 2 without the Americans.
Yeah. I think, Simon, go on, Ben. What are your thoughts on that?
I was going to say, I think, a lot of it's I agree, Stu, with what you said. I think, you know, any club is only strong as the foundations that are in place, you know, and obviously you guys are in the unique position that she has put your foundations in place. And I think the key of a good manager, proper good manager and coach, is someone who can take players like she brought into United and develop them to the extent that she has. That is what marks out her as a potentially great manager, and someone who I think, you know, down the line will be an England manager, or I'd like to think would be an England manager. I think what will be really interesting is, I think, you know, you guys pretty much are, dare I say, a shoo-in for Champions League next year. Hopefully that's not going to curse you, but, you know, let's look at the way things are going. I think the last test will be how she gets on when you guys get drawn against a Lyon or PSG, you know, or Barcelona. That for me is now that it's the last test that she needs to overcome. I think, yeah, you know, you can't help but look at her record throughout her career and now what she's done with United. You know, you can't say that you have massive respect to her. I mean, it's phenomenal.
For me, though, I think when we let's see what happens in the summer. I mean, I know we're going to talk about it, but, you know, like Stu said, I think players, I'm seeing some comments saying maybe not without Tobin, and I do think Tobin's had a massive impact. And then some people are saying maybe Russo's had a bigger impact than Press, and that's you know, I'm not comparing the two. I'm not saying I want one or the other, but I think definitely Tobin's just blown it out of the water for me. And God, the things that she's done. And I know we're going to talk about Leah, and you know, Leah, it's just different class for me. But Leah's our best player. Leah's our MVP. Even though Tobin is amazing, Leah's our MVP. And even when we didn't have her in the Championship, I used to wait and be like, boom. And I remember which game was it? London City Lionesses, Millwall Lionesses back then. And I just remember just seeing her and just being like, you are going to be something. I remember seeing her when we played in Boreham Wood, the first season, 2018. And I just said, this girl, and she's just gone and shown it all for me.
I think just to kind of back up Stuart's point, I don't think we would be actually in a title race necessarily without Heath, because I do think she's brought a hell of a lot to the team, to the whole squad. But I can kind of understand in the sense of we have got Galton and Hansen, we have got Russo, we have got other players who could have played out on the wing. I'm not saying they would have made maybe as big of an impact as Tobin, especially in the City game, because I do really think that we needed that leadership. So maybe, but any other game, the opponents that we were against, the likes of Hansen and Galton could have potentially scored against those players and could have created. So I can kind of see that kind of point, that kind of argument. But of course, Tobin has took us to that extra level. And if you do go into Europe, of course, we need that kind of experience and know-how, and we talk about the winning mentality as well. So yeah, I can kind of see both sides of that. Thank you to everybody in the comments, by the way. Please stick a thumbs up on the video; it helps. And brings more people in. So thank you very much to everybody. Loads of familiar faces and names. So thank you. Natalie, let's stick with yourself then regarding Leah Galton. Player of the month again. I think she scored like 4 in 3 games on fire.
Easy. For me, I know it's going along the bottom, and Casey always says it about her best, the best. She's our MVP. We are nothing without Leah Galton, and not nothing. Everyone does the part, but just something about her. There's just something about her, and slowly, Casey has built that confidence into her. I remember when the game got called off, the last game before lockdown. So we played Everton at Wally Hall Park, Walton Hall, Wally Hall, whatever. And she just tore them apart down the wing. We'd missed her for half of that season, and just played it to her down the wing, in and out, a few players, bang, goal. Same again, in and out, goal. And then when she came off, we were hanging on. So it just showed how much we missed her. And this month, I mean, the goals against Reading was fantastic. That shot against Bristol, this is why I say, in a way, Tobin is amazing, because apparently she says Tobin's telling me to shoot more outside the box, shoot more, because the strike, the power. Look at her. She's amazing. She is. Yeah. No one comes close to her. I know people will say, this one's the GOAT, that one's the GOAT. No. Leah is our MVP, and she is just fabulous, and I love her. And, we owe everything to her, because she's there. She is, when you talk about solid foundation, Leah Galton is that.
Stuart, we messaged before we put this particular show together, when I tried to get you on last month, and I think I remember you messaging me saying, can you talk about Leah Galton's goal scoring form and the run that she's on? And that was back in December time. Just talk to us about it's
continued. The rich vein of form has continued. Just following on from what Nat said, I just think she's fantastic. I think she hasn't got the recognition she perhaps deserves. I'm a massive fan of Georgia Stanley, for example. Christian, I think both players, I rate them, I like them. They're both well known across the whole women's football network. But I don't think Leah Galton is ever talked about at the same level. For me, she could walk into a side like Barcelona. I know she had an unsuccessful spell at Bayern Munich, but she was to return there and she kind of felt a bit more at home, more comfortable there, then she'd make a huge impact. She'd make an impact at Lyon, at Paris Saint-Germain, at Chelsea. She is a player that would arguably be first choice in any other WSL team. Maybe Man City or Chelsea fans might disagree with me, but I think that there's the fact that there's an argument to be had where she would be starting in all of those sides is testament to how good that she actually is. And I think Serena Weigmann's first job when she comes into the England role is to get Leah in the camp, feeling comfortable and enjoying it. I know she took a break from playing before she joined Man United. I don't know the ins and outs. Natalie might know a little bit more about it, but there's clearly something that's been a bit of a barrier, and she's kind of taken herself off the table to even be selected for the Lionesses, I believe. But she needs to be. If England want to do something at the Euros, she's going to be a key player.
Nat, I mean, do you want to give your kind of Lionesses kind of thing?
The only thing I remember is the start of last season. So this is before anyone else was, I think Hemp had maybe made an appearance, Kelly hadn't, but she likes to be at home. She's a home girl. She's Yorkshire. She likes to see her dad. She's got a partner, and she just says, "I'm not ready, and I don't want to play." Not that I never ever want to play, but she just doesn't want to do it now, and you just have to respect that. She's a home girl. She probably doesn't want to go to all these places or, all around the world yet. I think
there's good.
Yeah, that's it. Casey just says, I believe in you no matter what. I'm not saying that, I don't want to talk about no England managers. I mean, I don't know what this new one's like, but I don't know what Stephen Serena's like, but, I think she needs a place. Yeah. I think she needs a place where she feels loved, and I think Casey's given her that, and that's it. And I just feel maybe she thinks the England environment wouldn't give her that. So she doesn't want to, get to a place where it's going to make her dislike football because she's loving it so much. And I don't want, if that's what she thinks, I back that 100%, 100%. I want her to feel happy. I want her to be loved. She is loved here. God, like, I know Stu's saying Stanway and other names aren't mentioned, but we love her so much. And I think she knows that. And, would she get that? I'm not saying that's the reason, but would she get that same love from, going and playing at Wembley? Or I don't know. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to criticise anyone or be perceived to be criticising anyone. But I just want her to be happy. And if she doesn't want to play now, and that makes her happy, then I'm happy.
I'll tell you what.
That's Weigmann's big challenge, or to come in, put an arm around her and make her welcome and say, you will enhance my team. You will enhance my team not only through your own ability, but you will push other players to improve, because if they want to get a starting position over you, they've got to take themselves to the next level. And for me, that's part of the problem with England under Phil Neville. We all knew what the team would be. It was settled, and there was, while there were competition for places, there was never, because Phil knew who he wanted to play. Phil knew his starting. He had 13 players that he would never want to deviate for, and got to get Galton in. Give her an environment where she can shine. Make her feel welcome. Make her feel wanted.
Yeah, I mean, football is a confidence game. There's every person in the team is different. Everyone, and I think, Stu again is hitting the nail on the head. It's all now. The ball is in the court of the New England management. If they want someone who can possess the skills that she's got that is not there or hasn't been in the Lionesses team, since the World Cup, then they need to find a way of making her a priority in terms of getting that confidence that she needs. It's hard. It's hard if you're someone that finds it hard to be out of the familiar surrounding. It's the worst possible thing for you. You have to get out on that pitch and feel that you're in the environment that makes you confident of doing the best thing. So yeah, that's the priority. I mean, if you look at her on Sunday, she was just unbelievable. You can say, she's playing against one of the top 3 or 4 teams in Europe, certainly, and she produced a performance like that. That says it's a priority for England.
Ben, who do you think her competition would be then in the WSL for us to get clear of, Leah Galton is the best left-sided attacker in the WSL? Who do you think would be your rivals?
I don't know. I mean, I imagine there'll be a few people arguing at Chelsea that there's people there that possibly, I think you could possibly argue that in terms of what those players have achieved. But again, that's because they're in a different stage, A, of club development, and B, of personal and professional development. So I would possibly at the moment make that argument, but I mean, crikey, you saw what happened on Sunday. The potential is there for her to go way above that and way above those players. It's hard because the ball is in her court in a way, but it's got to be managed in a way that allows her to progress in the way that we know that she can.
I think that's a fair comment. And Natalie, let's just finish off with yourself. Not just her gameplay, but her actual personality, how down to earth she is, how grounded she is. We can all see how much she's enjoying it, and we've been saying this from the first season, second season, third season. She just looks like that. She's still got even if there's brick walls in front of her, she's still got more to give, and she's still got that energy to break down any brick wall in front of her to achieve what she wants to achieve. And to me, as you say, MVP, she just doesn't get talked about enough. And we mentioned this on 2 or 3 shows, so I don't want to harp on too much, but she's just one player of the month, so I'm allowed to. To me, I just can't speak highly enough of my left winger.
Yeah. Oh, Leah, like I said, I can't speak highly enough. The song, whoa, yeah. We've got Leah. Everyone loves it. Everyone sings it. I've heard all the other players singing it. And for me, she's just, even that comment, it's running along the best left winger. And, they did a podcast with her. And they were saying, what do you think when Casey says that, when you hear that? And she's just like, I just don't think anything, but like, you know, she's just like, oh, right, that's nice. And, you know, even if like fans and you see her, and I remember the fans are like, oh my God, Leah's back. And, you know, like the savior, they put her up, and she's just like, hi, you guys, you okay? And it's just like, Leah, I can't believe you're back. I'm crying in her arms, like, thank you.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, thank you. And that's what it is. I think it's that bond, it's that connection, and between everyone, it's just great to see. I love it.
If there's one thing that can get me to a Lionesses game, it will be when Leah Galton goes there. I'll be ringing you up saying, right, get all the tickets sorted so we can all stand together. And
just sing the song for 90 minutes. We'll just sing it. Even if she's on the bench, even if she comes off, just sing that song. That's what we're here for. That's what they need to know.
Guys, we spoke a bit about managers and man management, and obviously Casey Stoney used to be a player and she's now come into a manager. Stuart, let's start off with yourself. What players currently do you think could grow into a manager and follow Casey Stoney's footpath?
Well, at United currently, the obvious and easy one is Tobin Heath. She's got the passion, the intelligence, the football know-how, the technical ability to succeed. I don't know why. Something about when I see Hayley Ladd on the pitch makes me think she'd be a good coach. Whether that would be sort of international level, whether she would go in, whether she would be a manager or just a coach, I don't know. I don't think I've ever had the pleasure of seeing her play in person, but just something that I pick up and something I see when I watch her play. I just like the way that she goes about. I don't know if she talks lots, but I kind of imagine that she'd manage like she plays. She doesn't make it about her, but she does the right things that need to be done, and she knows what to do. So yeah, I'd probably go Hayley Ladd, 9 years time, United manager. Fantastic. Or coach at least. Maybe it's somewhere within the coaching setup potentially.
Just touching on that, two things. I got two players in mind, and Hayley Ladd was one for me as well because of obviously her international experience, working with some good managers. Don't always underestimate someone who's quiet as well. She, as you say, she quietly gets on with the game. You know, she's not always ranting and raving. She's very good. She leads by example. She's very good in her role as well. Arguably one of the best CDMs in the WSL as well. Maybe we would extremely miss her if she was to get injured or suspended at all. And also I remember back in the summer when I was on the Barmy Army podcast and we spoke about this, and I think Mark, I'm sure you won't mind me mentioning his name. He mentioned Hayley Ladd would potentially be a good captain if ever Katie wasn't the captain. So I don't think that's such a surprise. Like I say, I do really think Hayley would be a good contender at that. Ben, how about yourself on that one?
I think I would agree. I mean, MS Hayes obviously mentioned Magda Eriksson, which I think is spot on. And in terms of someone who's experienced, I would put Farrah Williams in there, obviously. I mean, a new one that's popped into my head just now when we were thinking about Leah Galton, and it might be a bit left field, but maybe somebody a bit like Fran Kirby in terms of what she's gone through off of the pitch, what she's experienced in her life, you know, where she's come from, how she's come back, and how she's absolutely ripping it up after being on the floor, you know, physically, emotionally last year. That's probably left field choice, but just, you know, after what we were saying about Leah, it's popped into my mind.
I think
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Natalie, yourself?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of choice for Amy Turner, and that was actually one that because I think she's like that brick wall, that powerhouse. But I do get where you're coming from with the Hayley Ladd. I do. I really do see it. I do think, you know, she leads by example. She's calm. She's composed. You know, she's not shouting and bawling. But I love my manager shouting and bawling. I love it. I love to see a manager on the touchline shouting, screaming, do this, press, push, do. Whereas I think Hayley would just be not sitting down. She might let her assistant do that, or she might be the assistant, who knows. But that's why I've got to say Tobin, because halfway through that game, you could hear Tobin over Casey going, do this, do that. And you could see her pushing and the whole bench was sitting down, but she was standing up. And there's been points during the season where you've heard Tobin shouting, going, do this. And for me, that's the kind of manager I love. And, you know, we're seeing Casey sitting down a lot now, but I think when we're there, we're used to seeing her standing up and we're used to seeing her shouting at the refs and shouting at this and turning around and looking back up at us like as if, you know, to sort of say, come on, G is off. And that's what I love about a manager. I love that passion, the passion that you thrive off your manager. You want to do it for your manager. And it's the same for the fans. You want to do it for your manager and your players. And we all like sort of have that drive to do it together as one. And that's why I think for me, the manager I'd love to see, I'd love to be a manager of Man United would be Tobin. Just, yeah. She'd be amazing. Even if she's not good, just to get behind her.
Now that she's got a link with Man United, you never know in the future. Not just yet, but want to be great.
For a while.
We're still new to women. The Man United women's team is still new. So I was in 5-10 years' time, we could be bringing this back the same way as Solskjaer was brought back. You never know in the corner. And the way I look at it is, you have got like two different types of managers. You've got someone who leads from the back, who empowers a team just to, you know, you do your own. You do what you want to do, and then I'll coach you where you're going wrong. Or you've got the manager on the front foot, almost micromanaging, saying you do this, you do that, and constantly on the go. And I think our players all resemble that. She was something that Natalie just mentioned about Tobin Heath on the touchline there. I know you mentioned it away from camera, but you recognise that as well, didn't you, in that Chelsea game?
Yeah. It's, for me, one of the fundamental things that you need to do. I should say I am a football coach. I've been coaching for the last 18 years, last 6 years in women's football. And the key thing is communication. Can you get a message across? The fact that you've seen her stand at the touchline, communicate, not just communicating, but shouting, yelling. If everyone in that stadium in Kings Meadow would have heard what she's been saying, and they listen, people will stop and listen. She's got that respect from everyone, and I'm presuming she knows what she's talking about. She's got herself in that position of football so she must have picked up a few things. So I feel like if she's got that level of passion and she's got that ability to communicate, she's most of the way there. Like, I can communicate, I've got the passion, but I've got nothing like the knowledge level that someone like Tobin Heath's got. So I can only dream of that. So it seems like the stars are all aligned for a career after football. Playing, I should say.
I agree, absolutely, yeah. And Yehuda, Millie would absolutely be a fun manager with Ella Toon as her assistant.
Oh my God.
100%. Okay. Yeah. Transfers, before we move on to the Birmingham preview. Transfers, so obviously it was announced today, well, literally about a couple of hours ago, officially, on the Man United Twitter official page. Abby McManus out on loan to Tottenham. Not the first player in the last month linked with Tottenham. Obviously, Jane Ross earlier in the month was linked there as well, but this one is actually official. 6-month loan. Anyone surprised at the player or the timing or the position at all?
I'll let these boys go.
Go on, Stu.
Well, in a way, I'm not surprised because she hasn't had the game time. She's been unfortunate that the Turners have both been fit and in form. And if there are other players that they're looking to bring in to play centre-back, then it pushes her down the pecking order. And one of the things that could be said about women's footballers, female footballers, they don't want to sit around on the bench and take a paycheck. They want to be playing week in and week out. So therefore, it seems a bit of a no-brainer. Tottenham concede too many goals, hence why they've been slipping down the league. And it's a bit of a no-brainer. And I rate Abby McManus. I think she's a good player. I think she's a good WSL player. Do I think that she's a starting centre-back in a team with Champions League aspirations? I don't. And I think there's probably some similarities to Lizzie Arnott's transfer to Rangers. Again, a good player, a good solid player that would do a job for the vast majority of the Women's Super League. But is she of that quality that you want, that's going to be starting games and winning your championships? Probably not. So it seems like a sensible move for everyone involved.
What's your thoughts, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good move all round. I think Tottenham is a time for them to sort things out because there's been some things that haven't been right. Then defensively, they're kind of all over the shop. I think a lot of people are very surprised of how they're playing Alana Kennedy completely out of position the whole season as well. So I think her coming, Abby McManus coming in as well, hopefully might be start from their perspective of trying to sort things out and establish themselves a bit more. I mean, clearly it wouldn't have happened if there's no one else coming in and no one else of potentially, arguably more experience, more high level experience. I'm sure that's probably something we may well touch on in a minute.
Yeah. Go on, Natalie. Abby.
Yeah. Abby started the season. She got injured. Then Amy came in. And I think for me, at the minute, currently, Amy is our best defender. I usually rate Millie really high, and I do rate Millie really high, but I think Amy has really stepped up to the plate. I think she's, captain in the team. Unfortunate about the way it went down at Kings Meadow, that second goal. But, both of them could have clearly cleared it. But I think for me, second year, there was points where I was worried about Amy. I think she's a fantastic tackler, but I think she can be a bit rash. Sometimes you might concede a penalty, but I think she's taken it out of a game, but she still kept the strength there. And I think now that element of rashness a bit is gone from Amy's game, for me, it is clear that she was going to potentially start over Abby. Abby probably is leaving, like what Stu said. She probably wants game time. She doesn't want to sit around. It's an Olympic year. There's a new coach. Serena's probably watching bits of them, and she's going to Spurs, and fair play to her. She might end up staying there. Who knows? Well, am I shocked? Not really. Probably let's talk about who's going to come in, and I want to hear Ben's thoughts as well. Maria Terrace
Torres-Dottir, yeah. I mean, it's an interesting one, because I think quite a few Chelsea supporters would say that defence is still not right at Chelsea. That a lot of people pre-season were looking for at least one defender to come in. So from that perspective, I'm surprised she's going. Obviously, she hasn't played very often this season. But what you're going to, if she comes in, which I think we all suspect she will, but what you're going to get is someone who you can guarantee will put in 100%, who will, she's been there, she's done that. She's very, very good at what she does. And I think she's the sort of defender that could take you to where you want to go.
Ooh, that's really good for me, Ben, that you're saying that. I mean, we had Christian on, didn't we? He's from Norway. At Norway. But, I mean, he sort of said he could play at right back, and I don't think she's coming in to play at right back. She might, who knows? But that question from John Fry, do you think she will replace? Maybe it won't happen straight away, but can you see eventually Turner and Turner getting broken up and Maria playing in there?
I mean, possibly. I mean, I think another thing in her favour is that she can play different places in defence, so that's always a bonus for any team. She's not necessarily someone that will take all the headlines, like your Magda Eriksson or those types of players at Chelsea. But she's just someone that puts in a solid shift. She doesn't get the glory. You can rely on her, and I think it's a good move for everybody. She gets game time. If I'm being a Chelsea supporter, I'd be a bit concerned if there's nobody coming in. I'd like to think from their perspective there would be, because I think it leaves things slightly dodgy by Chelsea standards in defence without someone of her quality there. But I mean, obviously it could be famous last words. I'm talking her up and it could be an absolute disaster. But I think you're getting a really good player if she does come, and I think it will help to lift you to the next level.
Stuart, do you think, obviously we're bringing this new centre back in, obviously it's not confirmed, but we pretty much know that it is.
Yeah, this is women's football. The minute it's coming out of Emma Sanders' mouth or Molly or Katie's, you know that there's something credible to it, and it's just a matter of time.
Do you think this is enough to improve our centre backs, or do you think now that Abby's left as well, you're going to get someone, maybe a bigger name signing in the summer? The reason why I say that is, in my opinion, I think maybe like Abby Mack would be a good player, not an excellent player, but she's a good player. Maria, who's coming in, I'm hearing things that she's a good player, not an excellent player. She's another 7 to 8 out of 10. For me, if we're going to keep on moving forward, we need to potentially bring in someone who's going to challenge Amy and Millie in the centre-back partnership, especially in Europe, which means that you need to be an 8 or 9 out of 10 kind of player. So what are your thoughts, Stuart? Can you see another centre-back coming in, maybe in the summer with even better quality? Or
I don't think it's needed. If I'm honest, unless you're getting Wendy Renard. I genuinely don't think it's needed. I think if United are retaining Kristen Press and Tobin Heath, Alicia Russo is fit, then I think if you want big names somewhere, you're looking at in goal or left back, to be honest, or maybe you're looking at I don't want to say a squad player, but you're looking at someone that's going to add a bit of depth. I think what you've got with Maria, Amy, and Millie is you've got 3 centre backs, all of a good high standard, and that's one of the things that Chelsea has over United at the moment. They've for first 11 that you don't, not necessarily going to separate them, but when you take out a player like Tobin Heath, or if you were to lose a player like Penella Harder, you've got Beth England there. You've got starting international quality in reserve. I was a bit sceptical at the beginning of the season at how Emma Hayes would keep them all happy, but she seems to be doing that, and we all know that footballers are happiest when they're winning trophies. So if Chelsea come away with at least 2 trophies at the end of the year, they'll all be happy, irrespective of the game time that they may have had. I see someone's touched on Lauren James there. I think when you've got players like Lauren James, Galton, Hansen, I don't think you really necessarily need to be looking to build a team of Galacticos. By all means, if you can bring in a player like Cascarino, I'm a massive Cascarino sort of fanboy. But if they're not available, or you don't want to rock the boat, then you just don't necessarily need to. I think.
Yeah, my point was more. Sorry, because my point was more along the lines of what's the point of taking out a good player just to bring in another good player?
Because I think Maria's got additional. I think Maria's got additional experience that at this point can bring to bear that would probably put her ahead. That's what I would say at the moment.
That's the thing.
I think she's a better player than Abby McManus. I think she's a better player than Abby McManus. I think she's a stronger player than Abby McManus. Maria, so I call her Maria because I'm not even going to attempt to butcher her surname. She plays as a regular starter for Norway, where Abby is a regular starter for Scotland, and that's not meant disparagingly for either side, because my mum's Scottish, so I've always, when it comes to women's football, I've got a little bit of a soft spot there for the Scottish national team. I'm a huge Erin Cuthbert fan, so it's not meant as a negative to Scotland. But when you compare the recent history of the last 5-6 years of Scotland and Norway have been the one competing in World Cups. So therefore, with Maria, you've got someone that's got that experience, and I think she's just as better. She's just a little bit better. So therefore, you've got 3 top quality centre backs at WSL level. Champions League level, I don't know. Someone with a knowledge of European club football would be a better person to speak than that. But from a WSL level, I think that there are 3 championship winning centre backs if they all remain fit.
That's actually a good point. What you finish on there, she has got that European experience being at Chelsea for the last 3 years, whereas maybe Abby hasn't got that in her locker as much. Nat, do you want to finish up on the centre back situation before we talk about Wolfsburg?
I agree about Maria is better centre back than Abby, but I do agree with what you were saying, John. Maybe just one world class centre back. I think Millie can be that, and you might see her then step up now that other level. But maybe it's somewhere we could look at. Who knows? Because I think, like we just said, we're looking at Champions League now, and I don't think Casey's. I'm not saying she's going to go and win it the first year, but I don't think she's looking at it just to, let's go through the group stage, see where we go. She's looking at it, bang, I want to win that trophy, and you are going to have to spend a bit of money, get in some class, that's keep developing the players to build them up to that level, but definitely get someone in alongside them. So I don't know whether it'll be this summer or next. I don't know, but I can see definitely soon someone world class coming in.
Cool. Brown Knight, how you doing, mate? Nice to see you in the comments again. Just wanted a bit of a recap. So we spoke a bit about Casey Stoney winning back-to-back managers of the month. We spoke about Leah Galton probably being the best left winger in the WSL right now, and whether or not England will be coming.
There's no probably about it.
Well, I'll try to be diplomatic. I happily will say she's the best.
I'm the neutral one. You're the one that doesn't have to be diplomatic at all. You've pinned your colours to the mast.
Natalie, let's talk a little bit about Wolfsburg then. So there's a striker there that's been mentioned on Twitter today, this week, and also a midfielder. Your thoughts on those two positions and players?
I think Ingrid Engen, that's her name, Norway, CDM, and I think it was John Fry who said before, CDM, and we're not taking anything away from Hayley. I think she's fantastic, but that's the one position where we always look. If we didn't have a Hayley, who've we got coming through? And there's not really anyone of that Hayley level. So for me, I think if we could get someone like her, it'd be amazing. Whether she would come, I don't know. I'm hearing Chelsea is a name. I'm hearing PSG. I'm hearing Man City. But if that's the club that she's looking at, Man United need to be in that talk now. And we want to, we've pretty much said that we're hopefully going to be in the Champions League. So you need to get those Champions League level players. Buy in from Wolfsburg, buy in from Lyon if someone comes available there, buy in from Paris Saint-Germain. I know we've talked as well. Someone mentioned it before. Eva Navarro, she's an absolutely quality player, young Spanish player, and I still want him to keep bringing through those young players like Fuso, like Honor, but you do still need, your Press, your Heath, Engen, someone like that, for me, because it would add that little bit of competition and,
So Natalie, my question to you. Natalie, my question to you is, you're obviously talking about these players being brought in. Are there players currently that you don't think could make the jump to that level? I'll give you the example. As I'm a massive Ella Toon fan. While I agree with you, if you're bringing someone in who's a regular starter for PSG, Lyon, or any of these European super clubs, it's obviously going to strengthen your squad. But there's still that part of me that I think quite a few of these United players could do it at that level. Maybe not straight away the first season. I think the first season would be a learning curve. But in 2 years' time, I think I see no reason why Ella Toon won't be starting and holding her own. If she's getting in the England squad, that's the same for the international class. If you're international class, you're Champions League class. So I guess the question is, how many of these, let's call them Galacticos, would you want in?
Well, someone said four. Four would be a good, I think, a keeper. I think maybe a centre back, but they might be covering Maria. I think a CDM, like I've just said, and then, winger or just another forward kind of thing. Because I think we were at a point.
Jamaica forward?
Yeah. Well, we will go on to that. John, we've got a special guest. Next week about that. So, listen, people have said Gemma Bonner, Eva, and Bunny Shaw. Something like that would be good. And I think Ella Toon is starting. So for me, Ella Toon doesn't need to worry. I think it's the people that maybe are on the bench that might need to worry. Because for me, I think adding someone like Eva for say next to Ella, it's only gonna, like you say, a young quality Spanish player, young quality Indian player. They're going against each other. They're going to raise each other's levels. And I think, like I said, depth is going to be needed if we're in 4 competitions. And it's not 4 competitions. I think The fact we got knocked out of the Conti Cup, Katie was furious. She's saying, we're going too long now without a trophy. It's highly likely that the FA Cup might not be played. So if we don't win the league, that's 2 years without a trophy. And I'm not saying it. I think Casey's now saying it. I think she's more ambitious than me now. And I think she's saying this club needs to be winning trophies every year. And those are the kind of, like her statement she made at Kings Meadow. I think she wants to win.
Stoney was looking for a community shield. It's that.
Listen, trophy's a trophy.
If you're picking up at Wembley, you want to win it. The only people that don't care about those trophies are those that aren't in it, and that's because they're not in it.
I think another thing, maybe a cautionary tale, is we were talking at the beginning when we were talking about Casey Stoney about kind of the identity that she's given Manchester United. I think there's a cautionary tale about bringing in 3 or 4, 5 Galacticos in one go, and which can possibly take out the roots of what has helped to make you where you've got to. Don't get me wrong, I know you need to progress, and I know you need to bring in players that can progress you and take you further to the next level. But I think you also need to remember who's got you here, how they've got you here, and maybe just 1 or 2 next season, again, just to slightly raise that level, because you're then raising the standard of the players that you've had on the journey with you from the start. I think, there's 2 ways of looking at it, and I think that might be something just to bear in mind as well.
Yeah, I massively agree with that. I think Ben's hit the nail on the head. I think, let's face it, you could sign 11 superb Champions League quality players, and everyone would love it and enjoy it. But I think there are so many of these players in the current United squad that haven't even reached the level in their own development yet, and I think they will. So I almost don't think you need to go throwing money at the big names. Get the right big names in the right positions. And that's all to do. As you say, if you picked out a goalkeeper and a central midfielder, if you want 2 big names, there's your 2 big names. Don't get any more. If you want to sign 5 players, the other 3 players need to be a mixture of experienced squad players that can be parachuted straight in and do a job if, God forbid, a long-term injury. But I think any more than 2 Galactica signings, I wouldn't want to see it, to be honest. I don't think it's needed.
Do you want to say something on that before
Yeah, for me, it's honour. That's how I take it. Young, Spanish, hungry. That's not a Galactica signing, but look at what she's doing this season. And I think for me, she's one of the best fullbacks in the league. And I think the way I say it online is MUFC. So I think adding that quality youth players, you've got LJ, but just, I think, well, we've talked about Eva, haven't we, John? Me and you. And I think that is one that is pretty much confirmed is likely to be happening. But I do think someone like the Engen that I've just talked about would just be that quality player. I can see people saying Tony Duggan. I don't think she's going to come to us. I think she might go Everton. But, when people are saying different names, I would take a left back. People are saying Alex Greenwood. I wouldn't take her back, but I would take a quality left back in there. And then, I'm a bit 50-50 whether Tobin and Kristen will stay. That's what I will say. I'm 50-50.
I think, by all accounts, Tobin and Press's United future hinges on Angel City FC. I think if I don't know what stage they're at, but it hinges on them. Hinges on that. To be honest, they're not going to be playing for Louisville. That's one thing for sure. But it's Angel City or United, really.
But the thing is with that, I think that Angel City, it might start in December. So I can't see Casey taking someone just for 6 months, no matter what your name is. You have it here for the season and you see it all out, or that's it. I don't know. Maybe that's my opinion. Maybe she would.
But then I guess we might find there might be, I hate talking about the men's game on women's podcast, but you look at Inter Miami, they got a team set up first and they're like, right, let's get this going. And it might not be that they get the man in right away. They think, well, we've got Phil Neville in, so we've got the big name. They didn't do that straight away. They got somebody out. They tried to build that foundation, and it might well be that if Angel City or if it is kicking off in December, I don't know. then it's quite easy for them just to think, well, we'll finish the season off with United, and then we can go in afterwards ready to the tail end of the season and ready for the following season.
If I could just kind of like close this conversation, just kind of saying that Casey going into next season will want 2 players in each position that she's happy with to go into Europe, because if one gets injured, as Natalie rightly said, she still doesn't want to get embarrassed in Europe. She knows that she might not win it. She knows that it's the first season in there, but she doesn't want to get whipped in Europe. After all this hype that we're bringing as fans, oh yeah, we're hopefully going to Europe. She's going to want to put a good account for herself, like she did in the first season in the WSL, only losing 1-0 against Chelsea, Arsenal, City. So she's going to look at that team. It doesn't matter who it is, whether it's homegrown or someone who's coming to the end of the career, someone who's WSL, America, European, whoever. She's going to want to feel comfortable that she's going to be able to take her squad into Europe and do her justice, because at the end of the day, she's got these high standards, and her high standards are reflected by the players around her, and she needs to be able to have full trust in them. And hopefully a lot of those players who we did start with in the first season can still stay. And I've got one in mind, but I don't know if she will stay next season. But I really hope that a lot of those players will stay, because me and Natalie, we're going to be quite upset in the summer when some of these players will potentially make way. But hopefully, the players who make way will be the right players, and that's all.
Well, you guys want to be able to see them play first and foremost.
100%, yeah, absolutely. Well, hopefully, I don't know when that'll be, but hopefully very soon.
Well, that's it. I think hopefully, isn't it? Me and John have talked about it. Me and other, people in the Barmy Army talk about it, and other fans. Europe, hopefully it's all back to, some kind of normality. We can travel. They know that we're going to travel. And so like what John says, if everyone goes over to France, say, and we play in Paris, she won't want us going home with a 3-0, defeat. She'll want to take a goal. And I know it's Paris are out of our league. Even Lyon is out of everyone in the WSL's league. But, you want it to stay respectable, I suppose. And you don't want to be like 7-8-0. I'm not saying it will be that, but I can just see it because it matters a lot. She always, there's a video that says, a lot of people have come out here to see you today. Da, da, da. So I think the more people that travel, the more people that are coming, the more people that are watching, the less likely the more pressure it'll be on. But everyone will be thriving off it. Everyone will be loving it. It's, God, if we can travel to Europe, those are some of the best games, Euro ways. So I'm excited.
We're going to talk about Birmingham City. That's our next game, so we could spend about 10 minutes talking about Birmingham. And by the way, L2's not going anywhere, so let's just put that to bed, Stuart. It's not going anywhere. Another favourite of mine is Kirsty Hansen, and that might be another player that you were thinking of, Stuart, about how well she's developing. And she played excellently last time we played Birmingham City. She really fought for that ball and set up one of the goals. And
so strong.
Really on and off the ball. It's great to see. Let's start off with yourself, Stuart. What are you expected to see in this Birmingham City game?
A United win, a comfortable United win. And that, again, isn't disparaging about Birmingham City. I really like Birmingham City. I really like Carla Ward. I love what they're doing. But they've got issues within that club, and they're having to rebuild it. Carla's having to rebuild a side on a shoestring budget. And it's not... I don't think it's an insulting thing to say that United are going to be strong favourites. And Birmingham's future, their season, doesn't hinge on a game like Manchester United, games against Manchester City or games against Chelsea. Their season is defined by their games against the likes of Reading, the likes of Everton, and the likes of Tottenham. And they've done very well. They were everyone's relegation favourites beginning of the season, and they've done a fantastic job to turn it around, to pick up the points they've been picking up. And I think the future's bright. I think the only thing that would worry me about being a Birmingham City fan is keeping hold of Carla Ward in the long term, because Birmingham City men are not doing well. So that means that they're not throwing the money at Birmingham City women. So therefore, they're going to be in a similar position to Bristol City for a long time, to be honest. So that their place in the WSL is going to hinge on having a good manager that runs the team of players well, and that's what Carla's doing. And I don't think it'll be a close game at the weekend when it comes to scoreline. I think by the end of the game, I think United will be too strong. If Birmingham can get to half time being within 2 goals of United, I think that's not a bad performance. I'll be happy with that. If they can go into half time at 0-0 or 1-0 down, then that's fantastic for them. But I think by the end of the game, you're going to see about at least United scoring at least 4-5 just on fitness. 4-0 in the comments. So yeah. A comfortable win for United, to be honest. And I think they'd be able to do it with a bit of rotation within the squad. I don't think you need to risk Tobin if she's still got a knock, or if she's over a knock, then God help Birmingham defence.
Certainly not a game it's certainly not a game where we need to risk Tobin, is it, on this one? I'm just wondering as well, Ben, Stuart, have you seen much of Molly Green this season at all? How well she's doing, obviously a former United player. And it says, we don't see it at all. I'm guessing she's starting, but I don't know if anybody in the comments can help me out on this one. But it seems like this has kind of vanished.
From what I've read, from what I've seen, I think she's done well. I think she is probably a good example of how Birmingham have done full stop. Had games where haven't necessarily competed because of the quality of opposition, but I think a good player that's done well in more games than they've done poorly in, which is terrible punditry, if you will, but from what I glean, yes, yeah.
She seemed to have a good game against us. I think she did as best as she could up against the 3 midfielders that she was against. I just wondered if anyone in the comments has been watching a bit of Birmingham, let us know. Ben, your thoughts on that preview then?
Yeah, I mean, I think Birmingham are one of for the teams at the top. They're a horrible team to play against because the game they played against Chelsea at Solihull early in the season, it was a horrible game to watch because it's all about defending for them. They've got to keep it tight because they know what will happen if they don't. It's a free hit for them, isn't it? So effectively, they'll come into it. They'll park the bus. If you can get a goal in the first 20 minutes, then it's how many, isn't it? I think they aren't going to look into the game as expecting to get much out of it. As you rightly said, for them, it's the games against Bristol Cities and that they need to get results against. It's a 3 points for you. It probably won't be the greatest of watches, but it's one of those games I think you just have to get over the line and win. And if you can get 4, 5, 6 goals, great.
Goal average as well, something that we could potentially need.
Yeah.
Natalie, what's your thoughts on that, Natalie?
Yeah, I think we need to, after the defeat, I think we need to bounce back. I think we need to come back strong. I agree, Tobin isn't necessarily needed, but I can imagine her chomping at the bit to get on the pitch.
Not just get on the pitch, but she'll be wanting to make that. She'll be wanting to make that impact. She'll be wanting to. She'll be wanting to score 3 goals just herself, just so that Chelsea look. And that's sorry to interrupt and kind of go off tangent a little bit, but Tobin Heath will know the impact of a strong win at the weekend will have on Chelsea. Chelsea will then look and think, actually, we can't slip up. If we slip up, the United side are going to spank a team and they're going to be ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, people are saying press to score a couple. That's what I'd love to see. Need goal, 100%. I mean, I love, everyone who sees me knows I love Carla Ward. I think she's amazing. I mean, what she's done with that Birmingham team is miracles, mate. Miracles, because, they're not backing her really like how we would think that a team should. Yeah, they're struggling themselves. They're in debt, but I think, Carla is used to working with shoestring budgets. She was at Sheffield and she did fantastic things there. But doesn't matter how much I like Carla Ward, I want us to be scoring 7, 8, 6, And I always come on, don't I, John, and I say 6-0, 5-0, but for me, I think you need to now, like you say, like it's just said, lay it down, make a statement, score big. I mean, Ben said it was only 1-0 when Chelsea played them. So for me, I think let's go out there, lay it down. Like said, it's going to be scrappy. They might get a goal, but for me, you just got to start scoring them early. You know, get a goal within the first 5 minutes. I saw someone said, and yeah, just do it. I mean, I would say do it for the fans, but we're not there. But still do it for the fans because we need it.
Well, we won 6-1 against Bristol. I think it'd be nice to keep that going. Against the weaker teams, keep on banging those few goals. Last time we played Birmingham, I think it was a game where we didn't play highly lad until the second half, and we played Katie, Ella, and Jackie all together, which is very creative, very attacking minded. We come a little bit unstuck in that first half. I think we conceded a couple of goals. I think it was 2-2 half time, roughly. Kirsty Hansen played as well, so I'd like to see Kirsty getting some game time. There could be some changes in this game, but either way, whoever plays, we need to be coming back with a lot of confidence, don't we? And I'm sure we will. Sure we will do that. We've overran a little bit, but I've really enjoyed that. It's really great to hear fans talk who aren't just Man United fans who level me and grain me a little bit. Sometimes I get carried away, and I know Natalie gets carried away as well. But sometimes I think we do need that. But thank you for coming on, guys. If anybody wants to find you or read your articles or listen to your podcasts or anything, Stuart, start off with yourself. Where can people find you?
As it says on the screen, we're Since 71 blog on all social media. Or my personal one is _Chewbacca, CHUBARKER. Yeah, give me a follow. I like to think I speak some sense. If I don't, you can soon tell me that I'm wrong. And people do.
No, you don't. You're great. So yeah, Impetus are at Impetus Football on Twitter and on Instagram, and the website is impetusfootball.org.
Thank you very much, guys. Really, really good to everyone. I know Stuart, we've been on about it for the past month, and it's great to finally listen to you and get you back on again. So much knowledge about WSL, not just Manchester United as well. Natalie, let's finish up with yourself. Where can people find you? Oh, sorry, go on, Stuart.
No, I was only going to say, you say knowledge about WSL. I like to think that probably it's quite. I don't know as much about WSL. If someone wants to talk to me about National League, then you get me talking lower league football. That's where it is.
Oh yeah.
Maybe at some point you can collaborate in some shape or form about that.
Yeah, and as Ben touched on earlier, we sponsor a player together. So hello to Olivia Watson there, Sutton United. Go out and give her a follow, and go out and give Sutton United a follow as well. WSL in 5 years' time. You watch.
And I should probably at this point also mention a couple of, if you're going to mention players you sponsor, there's an article went up today on the site about Harriet Mears, who we sponsor at Wroxham. She's a 20-year-old defender at her first senior club, so she's right at the beginning of her career. We're supporting her there. And right at the other end of the scalp at Chorley, Lisa Topping, who's played for Liverpool in the Super League a long time ago. We're helping her and Chorley out at the moment as well. So yeah, this is all about the grassroots.
I think the most grassroots I go is Championship. I know a lot about the Championship, and then National League, Level 3, Tier 3, Huddersfield. I've been to a few of their games, but Championship more. Maybe we can talk about Championship one day, Stu and Ben. Yeah,
definitely. Get you down to Lewis again.
Yeah, I love Lewis. Hopefully they'll be WSL soon. Well, yeah, find me, Natalie, 17. You know where I am. You know where to get us. You know where to find me and John. You got any issues with Man United women? Like I said, the news about Barmy Army, we're sort of affiliates, members of the FSA now. And yeah, I got voted on the council as well, but that's less about that. Affiliate members, Barmy Army, go and get it.
Well, then that's it. Just say goodbye. Thank you very much, and thank you again for coming back on. Thank you to everybody in the comments. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye, guys.